don't see reasons why lands in Ikoyi, Nikate are going for 1 billion. What is in the land? Are there mineral resources there? You know, we flex over it. When you buy land, before next year it will times 2. Why should it times 2? If a property is going for 800 million in a country where we are just 65 years old, what will happen in 2050? We don't think. It has even gone so weird that we now see expensive as luxury.
Lagos is more or less like the New York of Nigeria. And you said?
How?
It's not New York.
We should cancel that term. It's wrong to use Lagos to compare New York. What about in terms of value? What about in terms of fresh air? Lagos
So for New York,
Lagos is smelling. There's a lot of big mosquitoes in Lagos. A lot big mosquitoes. We have open drainages, open gutters. So why are you comparing to New York? You are comparing just the price, you are comparing the demand and supply, but you're not comparing other things that associate to make that house worth the value. Everything they look out in a property in Lagos and they call luxury is bullshit. They are building rubbish. They're building houses, the tiles are bad, plumbing systems are bad, all the roofs are bad. Once they paint white and put 1,000 lights, luxury, mansion on a 300 square meter, you call it mansion. Are you okay? Rents are increasing. You're charging a property, let's say 3 million naira for rent. And some of these houses were even built 5 years ago, 4 years ago, before this whole inflation thing started. So why are you increasing it too?
I own a property. Gary has increased. Of course, I have to increase the cost of my rent. Egg. Then, if you can't afford meat, just manage egg. Why would I be buying a crate of egg for 5,000, 6,000? These are things we could buy for like 500 naira, 700 naira a few years ago. And I, as a homeowner, I got to eat. Abroad, the operating cost is high. And the reason why I invested is to make money. You have to be in the system to kind of understand. You are not in that sector. I think if you are in the real estate sector, maybe when you get there, we can have another conversation to understand where you're at.
Now, bad money, they rule Nigeria. From the presidential level down to the lower class. The leaders who have corrupt money they didn't work for, money they took from the country. So if you tell them a property is $5 million, they don't care, they can pay. And then to the middle class, you have people who are into drugs. Bad money is always easy to flex and easy to spend. And then you come to the down end, you have the small Yahoo boys, who when you tell them an apartment is 1 million naira, they don't care. If you work for money genuinely, you put a good value to that money. All the big men now in Lagos have hand in land business in Lagos. And now again, they are also doing this buyback thing. It ends up being fraud because it's not sustainable. You tell somebody, give me your money, I'll give you 40%. Why? How are you going to make 40% back? And I also blame the people who give them money because you're also foolish and you're also greedy. No developer should tell you, I'll give you 40% in a year and you carry your money and you give them. It's not sustainable. It cannot work. It cannot work anywhere. Why will you give them that money in the first place? Why are you doing buyback? Because you want to take money from people and it's fraud. It's your fault. It's my fault. It's even the buyer's fault who is giving the developer 100 million and expecting 150 million in 1 year. You are crazy. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes I just think that God just needs like 10,000 people in Nigeria. No, I get some weird thought like that because of how deep I think about these issues.
Today, we are joined by a man who is not afraid to challenge the norm, question long-standing systems, and call out what many people only whisper. He's built a strong following, speaking boldly about the society, money, and most especially real estate. Now, you may not like what he says sometimes, but you cannot deny the fact that he is moving conversations. His videos have sparked debates, shifted perspectives, and of course, made both parties go back to the drawing board. For the first time on Key to Keys podcast, welcome with me, Scott Inguma. I hope I got that right.
Yeah, Inguma.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it right there.
Good to have you on our podcast.
Good to be here.
Now, before we dive in, just to set the tone, this is not going to be a fight. But I mean, just to share perspectives and ideas, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, great. All right. Lagos properties are overpriced.
Very.
Tell me why. I mean, what brought about that narrative?
I like buildings. I like real estate. I like interior. I'm an interior designer myself.
Oh, okay.
So when I get to see buildings, I can easily value them because of that process of being an interior designer and the knowledge I have as well in real estate and buildings and construction. So I've traveled abroad as well. And so I know houses abroad. So I know the prices of houses abroad. And I like to watch YouTube content on houses. So you get to watch some YouTube content and then you see a house maybe in South Africa or in London or in the US and it's, let's say, $5 million. And then you see another house in Lagos going for that same price. And it doesn't match. It doesn't tally. The structure, it doesn't tally. So you get in a war. It's way overpriced. So that's how it started for me. And I had to speak about it. So it has been in me for quite about a long time, a long period, nursing the idea, getting to see more houses, and I'm getting more provoked. So one day I just had to, bring it out. I started with the overpricing, started with clothing brands that were overpricing their clothes as well, charging in dollars. So I was just against overpricing because it's affecting the society and is increasing poverty. So that's why I had to speak against it. And we really have to do something about it. And I won't rest until something is done.
So what do you think the problem is? Where did it start from?
Greed. The problem is greed, and it could be fueled by the current presidents, the current administration. They made a mistake by removing fuel subsidy without putting a measure, without putting a structure. So when they took out the fuel subsidy, boom, they made the country went, crazy, and now everybody can do whatever they like. So the price control in the country was sabotaged by taking out subsidy without a structure, without a plan. So it wasn't organized. So they just took it out, and everybody started increasing their price. Started hearing today's price is not tomorrow's price, or tomorrow's price is not whatsoever yesterday's price. And even 10 hours ago price is not also, you understand? So yes, the prices were increasing, but Nigerians sometimes will like to take advantage of things.
It's true.
So they started taking advantage, exploiting their greed. And then boom, everybody started increasing their price. And now it's messing up the entire society and the entire country.
So how do you think you could provide a solution to that?
The first solution we can provide is awareness. People have to know that this is going on. And another thing, they have to stop listing things in dollars. Because they are using that to hide the value. For example, an average Nigerian who is not educated, if you see a property and they say 5 billion naira, they know the money, they know naira, they can place a value to naira. They see a property and you say this property is 5 billion naira. Any Nigerian, educated or not, can say, oh, it worth it or it doesn't worth it. Despite the economy, they can still project the value. But when you say $5 million, they don't know the value of dollars. They just see it and they don't care. They don't invest their time in it because dollar is not their currency. So they can't catch the code. So these real estate guys, they saw the prices are coming up. And when you put a property for, say, 7.5 billion naira, every Nigerian can easily value that property. So they started hiding the value in dollars. So they started listing in dollars just to hide the value. So you say $5 million. So they hide the value. And it doesn't make any sense. And it's crippling our naira. It's devaluating the naira. And then we blame the government when we are all part and parcel of this problem.
Okay, so you think the dollar pricing is as a result of trying to hide the actual price?
Yeah. They could say otherwise, but it's trying to hide the actual price. And again, it's also for a fizzy. I don't know why the Nigerians are that crazy. We like to flex over things that are in dollars because, we like prestige. We like prestige. Nigerians are always flexing about things from abroad. My house, all the tires are imported, all the chairs are imported, and they flex over it. To me, that's absolutely stupidity because you're giving that money to another country. You're not investing that money back to your country. So they are taking from you and you're wondering why we're poor. So for that prestige, you know how much I buy this house? $5 billion. So most of the times, these realtors, they are smart because you have to apply human science in all that you do. So once you're in the business for too long, you get to understand that selling to Nigerians, you sell to their prestige and to their ego and not necessarily for value. So once you tell them it's imported, they are in for it. So it has even gone so weird that we now see expensive as luxury.
I think that has always been expensive. Feels like luxury.
Yeah, it's a wrong narrative. Expensive doesn't literally mean luxury. Luxury is what you call luxury. I might prioritize ventilation more than the $2 million chair. I might prioritize, flowers. I might prioritize that to something else. So luxury is what I say is luxury to me.
Okay.
You don't tell me what luxury is to me. Luxury for me might be, because as an interior designer, I get to work with lots of people. Some people tell you this is what they like. Some tell you they just want ventilation. They want fresh air. Some tell you they want more of wood. They don't want more of, So luxury is what you say it is. So I might like this and part A doesn't like that. So you can't force that luxury on us. What they call luxury now is just lights. They pack the lights everywhere. They build a property and put 1,000 lights in it. And then they call it luxury. So it's necessarily not luxury. It's normal.
For this pricing in dollars, because of course, I'm in the market too. So for most of the things you were talking about, I think that we have tried to have conversations, with the developer. Being in the market, our goal is to try to help people invest.
Yeah.
And we are speaking on behalf of clients. Now, we've been able to understand that it's not even just the real estate sector. Almost every sector right now is pricing in dollars. You said you spoke about clothes at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of Nigerian designers that charge in dollars. And we also have even hair.
Charging in dollars.
Exactly, charging in dollars. And basically, when I had these conversations with different people, not just the real estate sector, one of the major concern was the volatility in the Nigerian currency, which is Naira. And if you are importing things, is it not safe to actually sell in dollars instead of having to constantly change your price? Because for most people, for instance, I'm privy to some information regarding some top construction companies, Elalan, Kappa, BCL, ALM, and the likes. What they charge is in dollars, but I know now they get the request for the Naira equivalent, but it is still in dollars, which sometimes is about 1,000, from 1,200 to as high as 2,000, dollars per square meters to build a high rise. And I can tell you categorically that the smallest could be like 75 square meters for a 1-bedroom apartment. And that is just the construction cost, not the cost of finishing. And having a lot of people, they have expatriates who come in who also price in dollars. Of course, you're going to pay them the Naira equivalent, but you are still paying, in dollars sort of. And you want to put a price to your project, to your hair, to whatever you're doing. And then you understand the fact that this dollar keeps changing. While they are telling you that, look, my fee is $1,500, but you have to pay me Naira. The truth is $1,500 today, according to the Naira equivalent, may not be what it is tomorrow. It may be higher. So indirectly, they are still charging in dollars. Now, for what I have heard from these people is the fact that we need stability. And one of the things that brings stability is putting a fixed price. Instead of having to come every day, today it's this price, and then when the Naira goes up, because the truth is, nobody envisaged dollar getting to this point. As at 2023, there was a project we were selling and some clients were skeptical about the dollar. And I mean, we're like, no government would allow dollars to get to 1,000 Naira. 1,000 Naira. It's not going to be possible for $1. But I mean, we've seen it happen where dollar has gone way above 1,000 Naira, and everyone right now is just walking on eggshells, still trying to function as a business. A lot of people their business have folded up. A lot of developers, everything has just gone down. The honest truth again is, while we want to, use the Nigerian made, we as consumers have had clients say, is it imported? In fact, most of my clients, if they don't hear the word imported, if they can't verify that this is imported, they would rather go and buy another property that is not as glamorous as what they're saying, made by Nigerian wood, Nigerian this, because there is a sense of security that anything Nigeria is not safe, is not quality. It's just the same way you hear China. This is made in China. A part of it just goes, chinko, before you're able to understand that, look, there is a part of China made that is not chinko. Do you understand? So I have had to sit with these people from different perspectives, different companies, different walks of life to understand, okay, why is it this price? Because the truth is, I want to sell. I'm a broker. I want to sell, but I need to understand why, because I am representing my clients to get a good deal. While I will not, sweep on the carpet that there are lots of people who, of course, I mean, in 12 disciples, there was a Judas. In 24, there'll be 2 Judas, so you can imagine
how many Judases.
How many Judases we have. We have the bad eggs, right? But we can't, make it a general notion based on some bad eggs. What do you think?
Okay, what I think is, two wrongs can make a right.
Sure.
We already have a problem with our mentality because our colonial masters, they ruined our mentality. So now, like you said, and I told you earlier when we were having a discussion, Nigerians, we like to prioritize. We like to flex over things that are imported. So if we're producing in the first place, we won't have Naira devaluating. But because we are consuming more than we produce, our Naira is devaluating. Now, you putting the fee in dollars so you can catch up with the devaluation is not helping the economy as well. So what are you saying? Should we just abolish the Naira and go for the dollars? Is that the best option? So that's not the best option because that will cause more poverty and that will mess up with the society. So they say these things. I've met with some of them too, and they say these things, but it's not entirely true.
Okay.
Nigerians like to exploit their greed. So it's coming from there as well. So they say things are going up, they can't match up. Yeah, that's true. That's a factor. But that's not all the truth. That's a half-truth. They want to exploit their greed as well. And not everything are also imported. For when you build to the carcass stage, these things are not imported. So carcass stage...
But what about the cost of land?
You have... that's another big issue. They are exploiting the greed in that aspect as well. The cost of land. I don't see reasons why lands in Ikoyi, lands in Ikate are going for 1 billion, 800 million. Why? What is in the land? Are there mineral resources there? Whether you reclaimed it or you did not reclaim, Nigeria is not the only, Lagos is not the only place they've reclaimed land. They've done that in Dubai as well. But because when you have, Nigeria is a country whereby the poverty we have is as a result of some other persons feasting on the money in the economy. So everybody's taking that money and the money is not circulating. So why are land sold for 800 million for 1 billion? Why? What reason? And you just said, we flex over it. When you buy land before next year, it will times 2. Why should it times 2? We are 65 years as a country. And now land, within 2 years, they will times 2. You want to copy the pattern of the Europeans. You want to copy the pattern. Okay, for example, someone said to me that, I bought properties in the UK that are also sold for, expensive amount. And I asked him, okay, that property in the UK has been there. UK has been developed for more than 200 years. So that property has been there. That land has been there for more than 200 years. Has been close to development. Sometimes even 500 years. And we are just 65 years. So if a property is going for 800 million in a country where we are just 65 years old, so what will happen in 2050? We don't think. We don't check for our problems. We are not looking at the data enough. We are just after money because Nigeria is a country whereby we like to grow individually and not collectively. So as long as you are making money, you don't care if someone else is not. You even want to make more. So there's more poverty so you can flex because we like to flex over you are wealthy in a country whereby there's so much poverty. You can use people. The politicians are using it to control, using it for elections and all that. So we have a volatility in the Naira. That's 100% fact. But this same thing was caused by having dollar in the Naira economy in the first place.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The volatility we are having in the Naira, we are having it because we don't produce. We are having it because Naira was floating, dollar was floating in the Naira economy. That was already happening. That's another factor. And another factor is that we have a bad money governing this economy. The money governing this economy are corrupt money. Bad money. Now, bad money, they rule Nigeria. Bad money from the presidential level down to the lower class. When I mean bad money, corrupt money, you have the leaders who have corrupt money, money they didn't work for, money they took from the country. So they don't care. So if you tell them a property is $5 million, they don't care. They can pay. Bad money. And then to the middle class, you have people who are into, fraud, into drugs, into all this stuff. So bad money is always easy to flex and easy to spend on the middle edge. And then you come to the down end, you have the small Yahoo boys who, when you tell them an apartment is 1 million naira, they don't care. So they also pay. So we're having bad money floating in the economy, and then it's causing inflation. It's causing overpricing. Because if you work for money genuinely, you put a good value to that money. You will not want to spend it anyhow. So when you have lots of flexing, lots of rubbish spending, lots of corrupt money running the economy, then you start having volatility in the Naira. And now the naira is devaluating, and now we're running to use the dollar. So if we continue using the dollar, it doesn't fix the problem.
While we have a solid point, but we are not starting from the grassroots.
And we have to go to the grassroots.
So the grassroots is not even those that are building. I think the grassroots is still the government. Like you said from the very beginning that the government came in, subsidy, was removed and everything changed. There was no cap. There was no caution. There was nothing to suffice for the removal of the subsidy. Because of course, if food is anything that increases, it's a ripple effect. It affects everything. It's a chain effect.
It goes on and on.
If sand is increasing, in fact, the moment petrol increases, diesel increases, everything else down to your garri increases. Every single thing.
Exactly.
Cost of land. This is Omonile. This is family. They come, they sell at a particular price.
A lesser price.
Not necessarily a lesser price.
It's not so high.
For instance, there's a particular property I saw recently in Ibeju-Lekki from a family going for 60 million naira per plot in Ibeju-Lekki. Why?
Okay, I think I can give you an answer to that because some of these families who own lands, they started seeing what the developers were making from selling lands and from building. So they had to increase their price as well.
There are lots of bureaucracies, right? They buy from the family. Most of the time, the family has done nothing on the land. So they buy at a particular price, cheap price. The cost of approvals, the cost of title perfection, the cost of drainage permits, fencing permits, permits that just arise, and PR that are not documented.
Yeah.
All of these things bring about a value they put on their property. Omoniles did not do all of that.
Yeah.
All they did was they had land. Basically because of their forefathers settled in a particular place. And then they sell these lands. Now they see a particular developer who has done all that work. And the truth is, the cost of all of these things, the government has a lot to do in ensuring affordable housing. Because if the cost of title perfection, first of all, the timing, it takes a long time. Why would getting a consent take like up to a year, 2 years? Why? And you're also trying to get approvals to build. Approval could take like 6 months. And probably you got a loan from the bank to build. And your interest starts counting the moment the money gets into your account. But you can't build because you need an approval. And then otherwise you have to lobby. Then you do all of those things to get an approval and you put a price on your property. And Omonile, seeing the price you're putting on your property, decides to want to sell at a higher price. Sadly, these developers, this is their job. They will still buy at that price because they want to be in business. And if they buy at that particular price, guess who suffers? The consumers, the buyers. They are the ones that come and say, okay, it is now expensive. But it's a grassroots problem because the Omoniles, the government, the people basically who are meant to ensure that the end result or the end users benefit aren't putting all of those into consideration. So it's a ripple effect. It starts from the grassroots, ensuring that the government subsidizes approvals, title, makes it seamless, and also puts like a regulation. I, for one, I am of the opinion, while I understand that, look, housing can be cheaper on, all things being equal, really, on good economy, right? Houses can be cheaper, but this good economy would have to come from the government. So why I said that was because I think we are addressing the issue not from the bottom. Or what do you think?
I like to address the issue from the bottom. And I don't buy the idea again when we blame the government for everything.
Okay.
The government have their problems. They have lots of problems. But we as Nigerians, as the citizens, we have lots of problems too.
True that.
And we like shifting the blame. We like shifting the excuse because Nigeria is a country whereby nobody likes to take responsibility.
I think nobody really likes to take responsibility.
Nobody likes to take responsibility and just accept I'm wrong. Let me fix this. So like some of the people I've called out, they come and meet you and say, oh, please, it's not my fault. It's the government. You were wrong in some parts. You played a role in this thing that happened. So why are you shifting all the blame? Why are you shifting everything to the government? And then if the government are faulty, and why don't we stand up against the government and say, no, we shouldn't do this. It should be done this way.
How do you think one could stand up against
collectively? Because this is a country whereby everybody roll individually. We don't have collective growth. We don't have collective unions. We don't have collective people who are chasing one common goal. So you buy from Omonile or whatsoever and the family, and you don't care because you know you're going to sell to the end user. So whatever price is going to fall on the end users is not falling from in your pocket. So if the Omonile increase the price, you also increase the price so the end users pay up the difference. So why don't you make a change? Why don't you do something? You know, we keep wanting the government to do everything for us. And like I told you before we started the podcast, the government have no idea on what to do. I've met with some of them. They don't know what to do. So we have to show them what to do. We have to tell them what to do. Yeah, there are lots of issues from the government, but there are also lots of issues from the developer themselves. Some of them will not even want to make a change because they are profiting from this. They are profiting from the corruption. They are profiting from the overpricing. They are happy. Some of them are happy that the price that they want it to go more. Some people don't want the dollar to come down.
True.
They are happy that it's going up. I met a friend who said, no, dollar only come down. I may even reach like 2,000.
I think mostly diasporans that don't want the dollar to come down.
And then we want to blame it all on the government when we are all part and parcel of this problem. So everybody fix your parts. Everybody take responsibility. Yeah, I know it's not all the developers' fault. Yeah, that's fine. That's true. That's a factor. But they have a role to play as well, a role to correct the problem that they are not doing.
So how can they correct the problem?
They should correct the problem. They should find out. They should sit down. It's not something that you just say, You have to brainstorm. You have to think. Because in the country, we don't have thinkers. We have shortage of thinkers. People are not using their mind to think. So if we start thinking, then we can go back to the drawing board, find the solution, find the problem, and then we draft it out and then we solve the problem. As a matter of fact, now, in a civilized society, they're already planning 50 years from now. They are planning 100 years from now. You have China planning their weather, planning everything, planning the real estate, planning everything for 100 years. We don't even plan 1 year. We don't plan 10 years. We don't, like I told you, if a property now, 2-bedroom flat is going for 270 million, this is 2025, what will happen in 2050? Now, if a 2-bedroom flat is going for rent for 5 million naira, what will happen in 2050? What kind of society do you want to live for our children? So we have lots of problems, both from the government, both from the Omonile, both from the family, both from all the developers and all that. How do we treat it? Let's come together and find a solution. Because you're enjoying the overpricing, you don't care about the solution. I met with some of them and they say, it's the government, it's redone is... Bro, let's sit down and find a solution. I'm not here trying to attack the developers. Because I know they have some challenges as well. I'm attacking overpricing, which the developers are doing. So just stop the overpricing. Yeah, we have challenges. And the overpricing is coming from this land. This land that they are selling 800 million, it doesn't worth it. It doesn't.
Why do you think so?
Because it's not sustainable. It will kill and cripple the economy. Okay, if you have land, yeah. They like to pride over it. We like to flex over it that the land is 800 million. The land that was bought in year maybe 2000 and now that.
But that's the pride of real estate.
That's
everywhere.
The pride of real estate. I'm not arguing the facts that it triples. It can triple. It can double. Yeah, that's fine. That's true. But as a society, when we overprice too much, then it affects us because everybody needs shelter. Shelter is not needed by few people. Everybody needs shelter, whether to own a house or to rent a house. So if it keeps overpricing, if the lands keep overpricing, then the cost of property will increase as well. The cost of rent will increase as well. Now, if you increase my rent, if I'm renting a property and you increase it from 2 million naira to 6 million naira, where do I factor that cost? Into my business. And the market woman who needs a house, factor it into our food too. So we have overpricing the whole economy. We start having hyperinflation. And then we want to blame one person when we are all part and parcel of this issue. So it's a ripple effect. It makes a chain reaction. Everybody needs a house. And now we're already having homeless people. No affordable house. The developers don't even want to build affordable house anymore. They want to build semi-luxury. It's not even luxury. It's basic, not even premium.
What's your definition of luxury?
Like I told you initially, luxury is what you say it is.
Well, I think that there are certain fundamentals that guarantee or that defines luxury.
What is it to you?
Well, for a house to be luxurious.
Yeah.
Beyond the ventilation, of course, the build, structural integrity, the quality of finishing, and the things that bring about convenience and comfort in the house.
Okay.
And these are just standards. Okay, probably a pool, a cinema, the space. It's a standard that, I mean, apart from every other thing, it's a standard that your luxurious home should be very spacious.
Okay.
Your luxurious home should be built well. The structure should be
Funny
great.
enough, not everybody likes so much space. Some people don't like
No,
so
so
much
I'm
space.
just saying that
Yeah.
this is, when you see homes on pages like NS, you don't see, or this other guy, you don't see small homes. There are certain things that you are expecting to see in a luxurious home. You can't see one very tiny one bedroom being called luxurious.
Well, they
and
do it. They call it
So-
luxury.
what, like I said, the quality of the structure, the location, first of all, the quality of the structure, the finishing, these are the kind of things that bring about the terminology luxurious. Then every other thing can now add to it.
Okay.
Maybe your pool, your cinema, your
Okay.
sauna, every other thing that just brings about comfort. The location of the property also matters, where your property is located, how secure, what are the infrastructure in that vicinity that could bring about my own comfort. So I think that adds, I mean, you could go and build that kind of stuff in Agulegba, something, and you could call it, I mean, if someone sees it without knowing the location, they could call it luxurious because it has everything that a luxury home is meant to have, aside the location, the security, and all of that. So it's all in one. So there are certain fundamentals, certain things we look out for that in a property that we should call a luxurious
Okay,
property.
I got you now. And everything they look out in a property in Lagos and they call luxury is bullshit. Yeah, you call a property luxury and 2 years later the POP falls off.
Okay.
The ties are bad. The ties are cracking. You know, the plumbing system are blocked. So what is luxury there?
So I think that word luxury,
That's
like
been
I said,
abused.
it has been bastardized.
So thank
And-
God you are affirming
No,
that.
I've said that severally, that the word luxury has been bastardized.
We ruined the word
And-
luxury.
It's basically stemming from what people want to hear. And the thing about business is you're not in a business for yourself. You're in a business to serve. So you get to learn what people want and then provide what they want. Most people can't afford, the Ikoyi, but they also want to get this sense of, luxury. Whatever they have, their 40 million may be massive, but truly in Nigeria real estate right now, it's not, you can't get that kind of home, not even in Ikate or even in Chevron, but you also want something great. So I think it's just to appeal to the clients who are buying. So the word luxury has just been bastardized because they use it across board, which
Anything. shouldn't
be.
happen.
Yes.
The same thing they use for Martian. They will soon ruin that one too because everything now they call Martian.
They call what?
Martian. Yeah, every building now, 5-bedroom Martian. Luxury. They call basic tap sink, basic tap facets, kitchen facets. They call luxury as well.
So it depends on the kind of facade.
And when you have a society that are not running with innovation,
Mhm.
whatever they see, when they see something little, when they see smart door, smart lock, they call it luxury. Like I told you, we have a society whereby the sellers are plucked in not the money, but the myopic mindsets of the buyers. So that's
True.
what they're doing because we live in a society whereby when you make money, you want to belong. So when they say luxury, without your 40 million, without your 100 million, when they tell you luxury, because they are selling to your ego, to your prestige, and not
Of
to
course.
what you
I mean,
really
that's what
want.
sales is, though.
Yeah, that's what sales is, but we are ruining it. We are not using it for all the class.
Mm-hmm.
The high class, the low class, the mid class, and everybody. So we are ruining it. You have a country whereby people don't prioritize their own self-value, their self-awareness, no self-awareness education to know who they are. The house shouldn't make you. You bought the house. You made the house. Not the house adding to your prestige. I don't need a car to make me feel valued. I'm valued 100%. If you wake me in the morning, I'm 100% valued. I know who I am. So the house shouldn't tell who I am. So you have a society whereby they need a house to validate who they are. They need a car to validate who they are. And then you can tell them luxury. And then they want to buy because, It makes them feel they belong. It makes them feel they belong to something. They belong to the elite. They belong to the upper class. Whereas you're giving them basic, and now we've ruined the word. And now substandard has become normal. And now to ask for standard becomes a problem because substandard is not the normal. So when you call basic 5-bedroom duplex, you call it luxury. So we're never going to build luxury because now you've overpriced basic for the standard of luxury. So when you want to build a luxury, then we can build a society. We can build if you call basic properties in Nigeria, in Lagos, luxury, what will you call properties in Dubai? What would you call them? Paradise or heaven? What will you call properties in Qatar? What will you call some properties in Shanghai, China? What would you call those properties? Yeah. Heaven, paradise. That's what they will call it. Because now, basic. Smart lock is just another lock. It's not luxury. You can get it Amazon. You can get it in Alibaba. You don't have to be rich to have those things. It's basic. But when we live in a society where poverty has been weaponized, so when people have little money, they want to feel they belong. So you tell them luxury, you tell them mansion. You call a 600 square meter land, you build on a 600 square meter land and you're calling it mansion. Are you okay? You don't know what mansion is. You don't know what luxury is.
You have to be in the system to kind of understand. The kind of system, not just real estate, I think everywhere, basically.
Everywhere.
There are godfathers. Everywhere.
Now you are saying the real issues.
There are godfathers. So even if you have an idea to change, like I said, it starts from the grassroots. Even if you want to change something, you don't want to be blacklisted. You know how it is when you're blacklisted in the music industry?
Yeah.
And that is it. You are done for. We have such happening in every sector, especially the real estate sector. You don't want to be in the black book of the government. Because when that happens, you can't do it. Every day you wake up and you've done something wrong.
Every new idea, every revolution idea is always attacked.
Okay?
The kid Jesus.
So who is the person that is going to be the savior?
The savior.
At whose expense?
Okay, now there's nobody will be your savior. Your savior is you. And how do you save yourself? Knowledge. So if we spread knowledge, everybody will be able to save themselves. Then we can cut off the godfatherism and blah, blah, blah. The reason why the godfathers can control is because they can control me. Not everybody
so they can't control you basically because you are not in that sector. I think if you are in the real estate sector,
yeah.
So maybe when you get there, we can have another conversation to understand where you're at.
You have to be intelligent when you're dealing with people. You understand? But you have to stand your ground. We need to start prioritizing truth and integrity, no matter what it costs you. Because when you have a society whereby nobody's prioritizing truth and integrity, we will suffer. Our fathers did not prioritize it, and now we are suffering it. So if we don't prioritize it, our children will also suffer it. We're not going to live here forever. The highest you can do is not to buy me. But we have to stand for truth. Nobody's standing for truth. If you have one godfather, and then you have 1 million people who stood for truth, then that godfather is out. But when you have a godfather, and then you have 1 million people and just one is standing for truth, and then they can easily, blacklist you and take you out. So everybody's scared. Are you scared? Stand up for your rights. Stand up for what belongs to you. Stand up for truth and integrity. That's what we need. So if we share this knowledge, where people can prioritize integrity and truth, then we can have a good society. But if we keep prioritizing, mediocrity, we keep prioritizing, corruption, we keep prioritizing serving a godfather who is messing up the society, then we have a problem. So I stand for truth anytime, any day. And like I said, every revolutionary idea will always be attacked. Jesus was killed. Martin Luther King was killed. Nelson Mandela was jailed. You understand? So who is this other guy? Malcolm X was killed. So when you bring in revolutionary ideas, they will always attack it. They don't even have to kill you. When it comes to innovation, you bring in some ideas and they tell you, no, we're not using that one now. We're not using that one now because they are not used to it. Like, for example, it comes to our parents. When you bring up something new at home, they kill it. They tell you, no, you don't do that because they are not used to it. So we have godfathers. Yes, that's true. So are we going to leave there? Are we going to leave the godfathers forever? When will they go out? If we keep having the godfathers, then we'll keep having a society that will not grow. And if the society does not grow, it will affect you, it will affect me. Now, you might not die physically, but you will die with hunger. You will die with bad roads. And if corruption keep increasing, insecurity will increase. So you might be wealthy and then one day somebody F's you. So the kids that you did not train, that you did not put to school, that you did not give a good house to, it becomes an armed robber. They are already full in the streets. So now you don't feel safe anymore when you're driving because they come to your windshield and book. They're begging you. Okay, let it increase. Push them out. No more shelter, no more affordable homes. Even the bamboo house they built in the waterside, destroyed. So they don't have any place to stay. So where would they go? Street. And the street will train them to become gangsters. And then they attack you.
So I think this still goes back to the government.
No, not government. It goes back to knowledge.
I don't want to agree to the fact that they don't know. No, I know you've been saying that they know. I believe, you said they
don't know.
They don't know. I believe that they know what to do. To an extent, they know. Because talking about homelessness, shelter, I mean, every country, we have homeless people. I mean, I was in Canada recently and I was shocked to see people on the streets in intense cold. I was not in Calgary, or I was in Winnipeg. People, if anyone who is, online knows what they call Winnipeg, really cold. And in that cold, there were lots of people outside, homeless, carrying placards, your $1, just, begging, no place to stay in the cold. So for homelessness, I know this happens, but I think in those countries, to an extent, the government has provided, shelters and all of that. Sadly, we have more homeless people than the shelters available, right? So for the government, we can't ignore the fact that there will always be the poor.
Yeah, that's
Everybody
true.
can't
The poor
be
you will always have with you.
There will always be those who are homeless. It is a constant. It is something that is normal. However, it is not the job of the private sector to bring about the revolution. It is all of us electing the right person to lead us. Because it starts, like I say, I will always go back to the government because there's so much. I mean, part of the things I've always planned to do is to build a hospital, free schools, free homes. But you know the thing? No matter how free I want to make it, the government officials will still demand from me. I mean, I've seen clients who were like, Confidence, you know what, I want to bring transformer to this place. And he's bringing transformer or trying to fix the road. And people are still asking him to pay to do the things that they are meant to do.
When you even want to fix their road,
exactly. So there will still be people to frustrate you who want to do good, right? So that's why I'm always bringing it back to the government. The government needs to put some certain measures. If you are reclaiming Morocco, there should be places where you should be able to relocate these people elsewhere. It's not the job of the private sector to do that. It is the government to provide shelters for people, homes for the old, for the senior citizens. There's still a whole lot. Now, talking about even some of these developers, I know a lot of them that go as far as providing roads, providing infrastructure, drainages. Building the city. Who would these costs, go back to? Definitely the consumers. Now, in other parts, I mean, being in Winnipeg, I could see that a lot of places that are not even, we don't have people there. But guess what? There is road, there is water. All this basic infrastructure has already been put in place. But you come to places like Lagos, you still have to do so many things as a private sector, as an individual, just trying to, build a place for people. But you still have to get transformer, provide constant power, because most of these estates that talk about constant power, they are the ones providing the constant power, not even the government.
Yeah, sure.
Constant power is meant to be a norm. I mean, Tyler, I know, tweeted recently that there was a blackout in Portugal, and everyone is shocked and is like, "Oh, this is our life in Nigeria."
It makes sense to them.
It's the norm, and it's not meant to be, because this is the giant of Africa. Nigeria is the giant of Africa. So there are certain things that are meant to just be normal that are not normal, and then individuals in their own little way are trying to make things work. If the government, talking about loans from the bank, if we had a better MPR, a better interest, people can actually buy homes. This home purchase wouldn't be difficult. It's not even meant to be a one-time thing, one-off payment. It's not meant. I was in Canada and I was buying things cash. And they were like, I'm like, this is how we live.
It's strange to them.
This is
When
how
you
we
tell
live our
them you buy a
lives.
home
I was buying
at
things
once,
cash. And they
it's
were like,
strange to them.
how? I'm like, this is normal. But guess what? What we call normal here is not meant to be normal. When we have mortgages, but how many people really can use these mortgages to finance? I mean, by the time you're paying back your loan, you are paying back like 3 times to 4 times the cost of your property. And we have short-term loans. You can't even finance because you're seeing 30% on a 100 million naira home or 60 million naira home. How can you finance that? The reason why you're going to the bank to get facilities because you don't have all the money. At the end of the day, the bank is draining you of the little money that you have. Talk about developers who go to the bank to get facility. They get the money, they build. A huge part of the profit is used to repay loan, and then inflation comes. If at the end of the day, they're not even getting what they're meant to get, but they have to increase the cost of these homes. Now, trust me, I'm not 100% for the developers. I am constantly for my clients. But to bring a better understanding to clients, I can't be talking to a client. I'm like, okay, that's how it is. I haven't been in the industry for so long. I'm an authority in this field, and I'm supposed to understand the dynamics, the economic realities in a particular place to be able to educate them that, look, why this is this price, I think some things are meant to be in this house that are not here. Let's go elsewhere to get something that is equivalent to the money you are paying, right? So while I understand that there are certain bad eggs in this industry who are trying to exploit the situation, I also know that there is a huge gap in infrastructure, in the government having to help provide subsidies in home purchase. If all of these things, if mortgage is accessible, if infrastructure is made available, if land cost can be reduced, which I doubt, because the truth is real estate will always appreciate everywhere in the world.
It should appreciate,
right now, I can tell you for certain that it has been astronomical. And the way I've seen it, I've been in real estate for almost 10 years. I haven't, between 2022, 2023, and now.
300, 400, 500.
It has been astronomical. However, I have looked at the astronomical increase in the cost of building materials. Iron went from like 200 to over 1 million. Everything has increased because the truth is, before I come fight, I like to sit with different people. Okay, let me understand why exactly is it this price? Because I'm always after, anyone that knows me, they call me the deal broker. I'm always after, how can we, get this at a reduced price for the client? Most of the developers say, you love your clients. I love my clients. I do love my clients more than anything because, the only reason I'm here is because of them. Talking about the Godfather thing, look, there are lots of people that have tried in this industry to stand for something, and they're no more today. And the so-called people that you're trying to protect still stab you.
Yeah, sure.
The so-called people that were screaming at Jesus, the palm, with the palm, Hosanna, Hosanna, were the same people that said, crucify him. But he had an assignment, right, to save the world. Every developer, the assignment is, I'm in business. I want to make profit. While I'm also preferring a solution to the housing sector, but I also want to make profit. Because the truth is, if you step out of business, the people that you're trying to protect will still be the ones to throw you under the bus. As much as it's a collective effort, how many people are going to come together? We had something like that happen in 2020. And for the first time, we saw a revolution that, okay, we're getting somewhere. But what happened? Everyone has gone silent. There is someone right now who is standing for the truth. But guess what? This person is constantly going, I am very much aware of the status of this person right now. And there is little a lot of people can do than to beg, go and beg those people. You've tried to fight, but look at where you are. Just go and beg those people. So in the long run, if the government still has the ultimate power to regulate a lot of things, they are making a lot of money from real estate. Really, I mean, we saw it. So if the government is making so much money from real estate, why would they want to stop? Do you understand?
You know why we're going to keep having this issue? We are making a mistake. Lots of Lagosians, they are buying it. The landowners, they say Lagos is their own oil. The land is their own oil.
Yes.
Yeah. You see, when you have a society, we made this mistake with oil. When we discover oil, everybody ran to oil and we forgot every other part that we could make money from.
Agriculture and everything, yeah.
So we're making that same mistake now with real estate. All the rich and elite want to profit from real estate. Their major source of income is real estate. And now their taste for money has increased. They have a high taste for money. They have a high lifestyle to keep up with. And now we have inflation. So boom, the land goes up from 40 million to 300 million. And now the government has their issue. We have our issue as well. But collectively, whether from the government, whether from us, this thing is not sustainable. At the moment, people can't afford their rents. So if we don't treat this issue as urgent, this city will sink. It will sink in hyperinflation. Just a few years ago, we did not check the data enough, and now we are in this mess. Now, if we are in this mess and this 2025, now what will happen in 2030 if we don't treat this issue as well? So we all have to come together and find a solution to this. We can't keep blaming A and blame B. No, let's take our part and say, yeah, I'm faulty in this area, I'm faulty in this area, and let's come together and do something. Because if we don't do something, the problem won't stop.
So something like what?
Something like now we are spreading the knowledge.
Okay.
And after spreading the knowledge, everybody has to be aware that this is going on. That's why we're in this podcast talking about, so we know what the problem that we have. Because to have a solution, you have to know the problem. So now that we know the problem, we have to find a solution for it. So we have to come together. We need to come together and, the government has to provide affordable housing as well.
Yeah.
The government has to reduce this payment for this approval and all this behind fees that are making the price skyrocket. The government has to bring it down as well. But nobody's asking the government to bring it down because they are exploiting it. They are enjoying it. They are making money from it. So it will get to a point the developers won't be able to build.
They're not asking
I think a lot of them, they are not.
You think
I've sat with some of them, yes, they are not. They are not asking the government for anything. They are like you mentioned earlier on, we live in a society whereby when the pressure comes, nobody say anything. We just accept it and move on. Suffering and smiling. We like to survive. We think we are smart. We are not smart. We just like to survive hardship. I think Nigerians are smart.
I think everybody wants to protect themselves now. They don't want to protect their head.
But it gets to a point, it's no longer sustainable. It's not sustainable. And it's causing a ripple effect. So you might think, I'm making money from real estate. That's fine. But you're still going to buy food. The price of food will increase because whoever is selling the food wants to own a land. The price of car will increase. Whoever is selling car wants to own a land and wants to own a house. So it's just, they take from you too, and we just keep taking. And it gets to a point it's no longer sustainable. At the moment now, we are having the upper class fall to the middle class. And the middle class are falling to the lower class. And the lower class are going into abject penury and poverty. So now rents are increasing, not because building materials are increasing, but most of these people who own this home, who own these houses, they are facing the heat. So they have to increase where they are making money from. So that's why we're having properties that does not match up with the value. You're charging a property, let's say 3 million naira for rent, and it doesn't match up with the look. It doesn't match up with the value. And some of these houses were even built 5 years ago, 4 years ago, before this whole inflation thing started in this massive tune. So why are you increasing it too? Because you want to meet up with your lifestyle. You want to keep up with your lifestyle. So now this thing at the end of it will not be sustainable. Within the next 10 years, we can't sustain this thing. The city will sink. And Lagos is an eye-opener when it comes to Nigeria. They look up to Lagos. Every other state look up to Lagos. So whatever is happening in Lagos will spread. Now it's spreading. It's spreading to every other part. What we do in Lagos actually has an effect on other states. I've seen that happen several times. Because Lagos is one of the society that has a lot of social media presence in terms of all sector. So now the other states are feeding from what they see on social media. So it's
think so?
Yeah. Social media has a huge impact. It has a huge impact. Social media will do more than protest.
So I think regarding that, it's not once again, it's not a one-man thing. It's not a sector thing. It's a collective effort.
That's what I've kept on saying.
And not just the real estate sector only. It's everything. You talk about paying rent for, it's not matching the value.
It doesn't.
However, the price of Gary, the price right now is not matching what I'm consuming. But if I own a property, I buy Gary has increased. Of course, I have to increase the cost of my rent, irrespective, because Gary has increased. Gary was like a poor man's food. I don't think there's any poor man's food anymore. Because egg.
They should start selling noodles.
Noodles is not even poor man's food.
I said they should start selling it in eateries because it's no longer for poor men.
Exactly. Egg. Then, if you can't afford meat, just manage egg. But even egg right now is no longer... Why would I be buying crate of egg for 5,000, 6,000? These are things we could buy for like 500 naira, 700 naira, few years ago. And it was still similarly expensive. But now, you're buying a crate of egg for 6,000 naira. And I, as a homeowner, I got to eat. Fuel, of course, it has increased from what it was to what it is right now. We all know what it is right now. These are operating costs for me as a homeowner. I can't keep earning or collecting what I was collecting before. Basically, because I have to also meet my needs. Now, I'm seeing this from, two different perspectives. Like, okay, as a homeowner, why are you increasing your rent? And I've sat with several homeowners. Even the clients abroad who own homes are increasing their prices.
Good.
And I'm like, okay, why are you increasing? And they say it clearly that, look, the operating cost everywhere is abroad, the operating cost is high. And the reason why I invested is to make money. The reason why nobody just invests for investing's sake. Even if you have all the money and you want to invest, at the back of your investment, there is a profitability.
You have to make money
in there. And you need something for those who buy properties to rent. You're looking for operations. You're looking for operational costs, something, or operational revenue, something that would, meet your needs at a particular time. For other people who buy for capital appreciation, they can wait and then resell later. But for a lot of people who are renting, while I understand that, look, this rent is on the high. We see these things. I still say that there needs to be a regulation. I'm not going to blame one sector because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Because why would I buy hair? I bought a particular hair. I know the hair. I bought it like probably maybe 300,000. And in few months, it's 800,000, the same hair. So if I'm going to buy that, just because I want to, it's my business. I want to look good. And I'm buying a hair that is worth 300,000 or that was worth 300,000 for 800,000 naira. Something has to provide that money. Something has to meet up. And if I have investments that the main purpose of investing was to help me live a certain lifestyle, then I have to increase the rent. So it's now going to affect the person who is paying, who is renting. And the person's also, the lifestyle of the person too would be affected and would want to increase certain things or look for ways to generate other sources of income. So it's everywhere. That's what I think. It's not just a sector.
Again, the rectors have a role to play in these rent issues.
Okay.
Because lots of these rectors, they lied to Nigerians in the diaspora. Because the truth is, Nigerians in the diaspora are the ones who buy these houses, put them up for rent. Nigerians at the moment can't afford houses. Just a few. If anyone buy a house now, you see and they'll post them. They will post it on social media that they bought a house. So lots of them can't afford a home. They are renting this home because Nigerians at the diaspora are the ones buying this property and they list up this property for rent. Now, these rectors told them, if you buy, because they want to sell. If you buy, you make your money back in 5 years. You make your money back in 2 years. You make your money back in... And it doesn't work like that. You can't make it back in 2 years. It takes time. So they factor all these lies. They want to make their money back and then they put it on the rent. And again, mind you, most of the Nigerians in the diaspora don't know how much is rent. It's the rectors that tell them.
Sure.
That we'll put the rent for you for 5 million. We'll put the rent for you for 4 million. We'll put it for you for 10 million. Because they don't know. They don't live here. They could have an idea, but most of them don't know. And then with some information I'm getting, the rectors are also telling landlords to increase the rent. Because why? They want to have a higher commission. They want to have so no control. And now we are having agency fee, legal fee, documentation, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes even surpassing what you will pay for rent. It's happening already.
Okay, so for that rental part, I think there is a lot of bad eggs in for rental. I'm going to agree with you on that. I mean, I've seen lots of things happen. I have clients who give their properties to people to rent. In particular, maybe that's not my jurisdiction, and they have other agents. And of course, some agents get to inflate the prices of these homes.
And sometimes they even do it without the knowledge of the landlord.
Yeah, I know that. They do it without the knowledge, and clients pay into the agent's account, which should not be. If you're a client watching this, you should not pay. I mean, I have clients who are like, Confidence, I want to pay into your account. I'm like, no. Pay directly to the person, to the landlord or to the developer. I don't think you should gamble with your funds. You should pay to the person the owner of the property, not the agent. Exactly. So sometimes some of the realtors, they inflate these prices basically to meet up their lifestyle, to meet up their lifestyle. However, I think that to a large extent, maybe there may be few, but realtors they are not the ones that regulate the prices of properties.
Because the realtors themselves are not regulated.
No, they're not.
You don't have a license. You can wake up today and say you're a realtor.
There is no license in Nigeria for almost everything, really.
So now everybody's
apart from even real estate. And that's what I'm saying. We need regulations. We need people to put some things into
And that's what I've been crying about. We need regulations. We need control.
In so many sectors, we don't have control. But I mean, with the way real estate is going right now, it is important. It's imperative that we have sectors to guide. We have La Srera. We have some sectors that are trying to control these things.
There was some property I made comparison with. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, that property dropped from 2 billion naira in Osakpa.
Okay.
To 1.7.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a 300 million go to. There was another one that I did. I think that one was 5.2 billion. And it dropped from 5.2 to I think about 4.8 or 4.7 billion. So we had a 300 million naira vanish too. So they are inflating this price, and I keep saying it with mouths. Yes, they have a good excuse that the economy is bad. That's a perfect excuse to exploit. So now you don't blame them. It's not even a good way to sell and to overprice. The economy is bad now. It was 100 million before. Now it's now 140. We've been importing things before. We did not start importing 2 years ago.
But the naira, I mean, the dollar was not, what it is right now.
Yeah, I accept. But we are importing from China. Things are cheap in China. If you've not been there, you will not know they are very cheap. Things are cheap. You can get every quality you want. But now we are even overpricing the substandard quality as well and selling it for luxury. So the government have their role to play. That is excellent. That is true. And we'll keep making out this awareness, and so the government provides solution. But these developers are also crook. The developers,
some developers.
Yes, some developers are crook. Some developers and some realtors are crook. And now again, they are also doing this buyback thing. This buyback thing it might not start as fraud, but it ends up being fraud because it's not sustainable. You tell somebody, give me your money, I'll give you 40%. Why? How are you going to make 40% back? And then you take people money. I have lots of cases now on my DM, people telling me this developer, this company, blah, blah, blah. They take money and then they can't give you what they promised you in the next 1 year. And I also blame the people who give them money because you're also foolish and you're also greedy. Why would somebody tell you, I'll give you 40% in 1 year and then you take the money? Why? Where is it going to make it from? This is real estate. This is not, it's not day-to-day income. So to the viewers out there, no developer should tell you, I'll give you 40% in a year and you carry your money and you give them. It's not sustainable. It cannot work. It cannot work anywhere. If you want 40% of your return of investment, go and do crypto or find something else to do. It's not in real estate. So because now I'm having lots of cases. Why will you give them that money in the first place? So we're having lots of real estate going into buyback. Why are you doing buyback? Because you want to take money from people, and lots of them are doing this buyback, and it's fraud.
Sure.
Some of them are not even registered on SEC in the first place to be doing investment programs. It doesn't make any sense. And they want to blame all the things in the government. Yes, the government have their problem, but I've grown to the aspect that I've moved my consciousness and my mental state from blaming the government or everything. And let's factor ourselves. We have lots of challenges that we do, and we blame the government. My father spent lots of years abroad. When my father came back one time, it took him 7 years to teach us how to dispose waste. That you have to put plastic on one side, food waste one side, and ions related, metal related one side. It took 7 years to teach us that simple thing. Then we have lots of people dumping things around Lagos State now, and they blame who? The government. Mm-hmm. We have lots of developers, realtors, mismanaging the system, and they blame who? The government. So now they are using the government just to exploit the grid and to say it's the government's fault. It's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. That's bullshit. It's your fault, it's my fault. It's even the buyer's fault who is giving the developer 100 million and expecting 150 million in 1 year. You are crazy. It doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. It's not, you're not doubling the money. It's real estate. Sure. It takes time to sell. And now you're having inflation hit, and then they end up scamming you, and then you're meeting Scott, looking for VDM that will help you collect your money back. It doesn't work like that. So that's why we have to keep spreading this awareness to hit both the clients, the customers who are buying this property. Be careful. Don't let them sell to your greed, because I have a case whereby a property was 140 million naira, and the guy reached out to me and said, this property is 140 million naira. I said, no, this property is way overpriced. It doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to be 140 million naira. And what did the guy do? He said, okay, I'll go back and talk to them. I said, negotiate for 80. Negotiate for 80 million naira. And they ended up selling that property for him for 100 million naira. 100 million naira. So where did the 40 million naira came from? Overpricing. I had another one. This one, I followed the person there, but I did not show my face, so they don't know I'm there. And they said the property was 160. He ended up buying that property for 120. So where did 40 million naira come from? Overpricing. And who is to blame? Who is a good example to blame? Oh, the government. Come on. To go to China to bring things is not so difficult. What are you bringing? Doors, smart lock. Those are 10 naira, 20 naira in Alibaba. So you're that's why I told you initially, they are selling to their ego. They are exploiting their ego. So Nigerians, you have to wake up. You have to prioritize the correct mental state, so people don't exploit you. Because once the seller, especially these realtors, they see you don't have knowledge about these things. And let me tell you, don't trust these realtors. They're after money.
Not all. Not all.
They're after money. They are not after you.
Not all. I take exceptions to that.
Probably maybe not you, but most of them are after money, and they are not after you. They don't care about you. Let's just be honest. They want to make money. The developers don't care about. If the developers care about the people, if they care about the owners of the house who are eventually going to buy the house, then why would they put a substandard POP? Why would they do substandard plumbing system? Why would they put a roof that they know will leak immediately? And the factor of that is the government as well. So you take so much money and you don't give equivalent for that money. You're having piping system blocked. You're having ties. You live in the house, you mash the ties, go break. It's the government too, Abi. You knew it was fake. You took it. They even want it to be very cheap so they can sell it high. So it doesn't make sense. And again, all of them are factoring and going into residential, building residential. We are not even building, they are not going into commercial. Real estate is not all about residential. It's not about building house for rent. There are other aspects that you can explore.
Exactly.
We don't even have lots of leisure parks in Lagos at the moment. Why? They don't care about that angle because it takes time to make money from there. They want fast money. And then they want to blame the government. Fast money, fast money, fast money. It's a problem. And we have to look into it. So we can't keep sugarcoating it and want to blame the government for it. No. The developers are a major problem in the real estate sector. The realtors are a major problem in the real estate sector. And even the clients, the customers, are also major problems. Because I've seen some cases whereby, you see a house for a certain amount of money and the client tell you, increase it. That's why I tell you, bad money, now they control this economy. Bad money. Because he's trying to clean, he's trying to clean money. He's trying to clean money. He said, increase it. Increase it from $1 million to $2 million. I've seen it. They're trying to clean money. Not all developers we accept, but some of them we accept, and they will do it. And then we factor everything is the government. So that's bullshit. We have to go back to the drawing board, and everybody has to take responsibility that I'm causing something, I'm doing something, and I'm doing something. There is overpricing the real estate sector. We don't have to fix it all on the government. Now lie. The rectors and the developers are problems. So on all angles, they are building substandard houses and calling it luxury. We don't even have right artisans.
I was going to touch that part too.
They are not training any.
And whose fault is that?
The developers. It's their fault.
To train the artisans?
Yes, it's very easy. I've worked other places. I've worked outside the country. They train you. 15 minutes lecture before you start work is training. You can teach them like that.
No, that's not training. You need to have a vocational institute to train this.
We don't have, and we cannot wait till we build. So you have 20 minutes training before they go into sites. You can train them. It's not so difficult to train them anymore. Bring in innovations, bring in the technologies that they will use. Show them videos on YouTube how to use it. Simple. These people, they don't know how to read, but they can hear. They can listen. They can see. Show them. This is not how to cut the tile. Cut the tiles this way. This is not how to fix it. Fix it this way. As simple as that. But these developers, they don't care because they don't care about the end users. All they want is money.
Let me touch that part, because I know that one of the concerns I've heard from lots of developers is artisans.
No artisans. I agree.
Artisans, you've tried, because this whole training thing, you let them understand your modus operandi, what is expected. But as a developer, you can't be there 24/7.
That's why you have a site supervisor.
So there are times, even these site supervisors connive with the artisans to either hoard materials, I have seen lots of cases.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Where they hoard things and you are supplying the right thing, but they are mixing the wrong thing. And then in the long run, you are the developer, you are bearing all that brunt.
That's why you should have
Basically,
CCTV camera in your site.
Even at that, when people want to scam you, especially people you've entrusted to be present.
If the artisan has a problem that is making just, small money, 10,000 a day, if the artisan is also colliding to, do dubious things, what about the developer? So he's just so innocent. Nigerian. Which Nigerian is innocent?
All of us have our part to play.
So all of us, that's the bottom line. So I don't like the aspect whereby Nigerians blame the government for everything. It's been an excuse we've been using for 65 years, and it has not worked, and it will not work.
I think for blaming the government, I think it's more of they are the people to implement a lot of these things. They should take the first step towards the change.
The government is still people like me and you too.
Of course.
They are just another Nigerian.
Power.
Yeah, they have the ultimate power and they are not doing it. And we that know, that's why I keep telling you that this government don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They think they know. They have idea on what to do, but they cannot implement it. Because their mindset is the mindset of the 80s, of the 90s. They are not, adapted. They've not adapted to technology. They've not adapted to fast system. So we that know this fast system, we ourselves are also not implementing it. We are colliding with the government to do the same dubious things. So they should not be blaming the government. The developers are at fault, and I will keep on saying that. The rectors are at fault, and I will keep on saying that. So take your part. Where you are at fault, correct it. Where the rectors are at fault, correct it. Where the clients, the customers are at fault, correct it. Especially those ones that will give 10 million and expect 40 million, give money and expect 40% buyback profit within 1 year. It doesn't make any sense. It's not sustainable. We have shortage of artisans. It's not very difficult to do. It's not very difficult to do. Like I said, when I was working outside the country, they train you. They teach you something you don't know before.
Yeah.
They teach you on how to do it. So why is it a big deal? What stops you from having a TV set in your site, whereby before the work commences, 20 minutes lecture, you teach them. You teach the artisan, this is what to do. This is what you shouldn't do. This is the site. We don't even do site rigs. Are the developers, are they providing helmets for the artisan? No. Are they providing boots? No. They don't know. And even if they know, they don't implement it. What will it take you? Now, bring the boot, bring the helmet, remove it from their pay. You can remove 1,000 naira from their pay for, let's say, 10 days or 20 days that they want to work in the site. And then they have a safety boot. These people don't know. The developer that know will not train them. And then they end up doing rubbish. Because you don't care. It was never about the structure for you. It was about money. It's never about the structure for the developers. It's about money. It's strictly about money. You will make money. And the truth is, when you give value, you will always make money. When you solve problems, you will always make money. That's the simple fact. But now we'll cut short the problems, cut short the solutions, and the main goal, I want to make money. I want to make money. I want to make money. And you're building rubbish. You're building houses, the tiles are bad, plumbing systems are bad, all the roofs are bad. Once they paint white and put 1,000 light, luxury, mansion on a 300 square meter, you call it mansion. Are you okay? We are messing up the sector. And now there's so much fraud in the sector. There's lots of fraud. It's even the directors that are trying to, help the customers, the people. It's about money. They just wait and put it out there and wait to sell it. And the directors there too is also looking for money because everybody in this country is greedy. They all want money, so they don't mind a lie. Put it, you make your money back in times 2. If you buy this land, you make your money back in times 2. Why? What? Okay, before I moved out of Nigeria, for example, they were selling lands in Ibejuleki. 2 million, 1 point, even 700,000 in Ekpe in all this time. And then what would they say at that time? Dangote refinery is there. Okay, true. Now, 3 years later, 4 years later, they'll still tell you Dangote refinery is there. Is it not the same refinery that you used in selling it 3 years back? Nothing else has changed. Nothing else has improved. But because you tell them times 2, it will times 2, it will times 2. And they keep doing, the process continues. Now, lands that took 10 years, that took 65 years, or since the making of the land, since God made the land, it took those thousands of years to be in 2 million. Now, in 2 years, it now got to 60 million. And you say it's not human fault. Sometimes I just think that God just needs like 10,000 people in Nigeria. No, I get some weird thought like that because of how deep I think about these issues. I'm not happy when I see people on the streets. I'm not happy.
Yeah?
Yeah, you will always have people on the street. Like you mentioned, people in Canada. Yes, I've seen people on the street, but you take note that 60% of those people living in the street is drug. They are either using drugs, cannabis, and all those things that made them, their mindset depreciated and they find themselves in that mess. But in Nigeria, it's not just drug. You have children who were born in the streets because the parents could not afford a home. So the street trained them and now they become hooligans and the process continues and we don't care. I was time I made a video when I saw a dead body on the Lekki, on the road. It was just there. Now I passed that road for about 3 times, Friday to Sunday. And that body was there for 72 hours. And we have police who use that road. We have, road safety officials who drove through that road for 72 hours. Nobody did anything about a dead body that was there. Who would they blame? Government. Everything government. Who made a call? You know why I say it's not government? Who made the call? That there's something here. Take it off. Nobody. Now, after I made that video, tagged the necessary authorities, they saw that and they came to take it. So nobody said something. So you're seeing lots of dubious activities in the real estate sector and nobody's saying anything. The realtors will see it and will not say anything. We are giving bare lands like Africa, like every other Western world. We are giving bare lands. And now we have to prioritize. Get sense. Just get sense for yourself. Simple. If we prioritize education, then the education doesn't have to be school anymore. It's easy to get information. It's easy now. So get sense. Prioritize your sense. Stop prioritizing your body over your mind state. Stop prioritizing car and house over mind state. Because when we start having sense, you start realizing self-awareness, you start realizing mental value, then most of these wrongs we're having will stop.
I think it's just the general economy currently.
Yeah.
It's affecting everybody.
It's affecting everybody. But my own take in this is that we are not finding solution. That's one big truth. Because we are a country whereby we are tailored to administrate and not to produce. And it's affecting our mind state. So we don't ask questions. See what they happen. Let's find a solution. No, we accept it. Once they say 4 and now is 2,000, we still accept. And protests, I will say this last thing. Protests will not solve our problems. Protest is asking somebody to give you something he cannot give you. That's what it is. Protest used to work. It will not work anymore. Now, it can do something, but it can't do much. What will solve our problem is providing solutions. And anybody can provide solution. Anybody can provide solution. Now, I'm showing an awareness now that is at least providing a bit solution. But simple. So if another person do the same thing, and we all, before you know, we sensitize the whole public. Oh, what do you think on protest? You think when you protest, they will give you what you want? And protest is even a measure that the government are used to. They know how to fight protests. All they just have to do is to bring another people that will protest against the protesters. And then they clash you both, and then it's gone. And then the whole narrative is out, it's gone. So we have to prioritize knowledge. And when I mean knowledge, it's not just education. All the big men now in Lagos have hand in land business in Lagos. True of us. You might not want to accept.
No. Of course.
Of course.
Everywhere. So not just in Nigeria. Everywhere, real estate is more or less like an important asset to have.
It's in Nigeria mostly. Why I say that is because other places, you have other things that give people money. They don't prioritize real estate as a only investment.
For everybody, every individual who have got into a particular stage financially, real estate is like core. It's important it goes from being just something to own to being something necessary, something important for survival. So a lot of may think, okay, let me just buy to prove a point. But to a larger population, it's more about holding something sustainable.
Because we are lazy.
Lazy in what
Yes.
sense?
Because it's an easy thing. Real estate is very easy. You just buy the land, you leave it there, you are not doing anything. We are lazy. And all the big men, all the elites, they are eating from real estate. Just the same mistake we made with oil. When we see one thing that will give money, we abandon every other thing. What happened to tech? What happened to agriculture that we make money from? We don't do it anymore. Everybody is real estate. Everybody is real estate. Real estate is the best business. So all the factor when you have the most wealthiest people in Nigeria or in Lagos are eating from real estate, then you have things like this. The real estate is their only source of income. They don't prioritize other source. It's only real estate. Especially once they get to age 40. Once they just make one small money, everybody, boom, real estate. People who have no business building are building. So because of the money they are making from it, that's why they are doing this thing. And we have to stop this rubbish.
We're getting there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
And I'm not going anywhere. Some of them have sued me. I'm not going anywhere. We'll get there.
We're getting there. We'll get to a point where
we'll make a change.
There would be like I said, the first thing is the government coming to provide some certain
we can't wait. We can't wait for the government.
Why I said because the truth is they still have a huge part to play.
Yes, they do.
No matter how much anybody wants to do anything.
Have they done it since the past 65 years?
So that's the thing. At this point, probably if it is talking, like you said, everybody talking, fine. But we need to look for measures to get them to start doing something.
When we start talking and creating awareness,
the moment they take the first step, everything else becomes easy for everybody.
And you think these developers really want to do good?
That is number one. The government, now part of the government taking the first step is not just making things affordable, regulating industries.
You think some of these developers want that industry regulated?
If the government, so it's not about them now. If the government puts some certain measures to regulate the real estate sector, it's either you are doing it or you're out of the system. Exactly. So the way they are trying to make things, you must get, it's not an option. I mean, we've seen what happened 2 years ago, last year, demolitions. Now everybody started running everywhere trying to get approval. Because for a long time, you could build without having your approval. It wasn't a big deal. The information was there. Approval was needed, but nobody was really talking about it. And so we had lots of developers building without approval. People were building here and, do you understand? Flouting there's a rule. But the moment they start putting measures to ensuring people are implementing every rule, then sanity becomes the norm. So they still have a huge part to play in sanitizing the real estate sector. If they can take the first step, doing what is necessary, subsidizing home ownership. I mean, my next question to you basically is about this interest. Making mortgage affordable. If the interest is affordable, a lot of things will come down. We're talking about oil, fuel, diesel. If petrol comes down, I can say for a certain that for the first time in our life, we will see a reduction in some certain things.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Because I bought something recently. I can't remember. Was it bread? And then I came back and said, oh, I think dollar came down. Said, I was like, really?
You're amazed. I'm amazed. It hasn't happened to me before.
I was amazed.
It came down?
It came down. Yeah. It did come down. And then I realized that, okay, I think there is still hope. If these things could actually come down, the government, they've been trying to put in measures more like having food banks and all of those things where people could go and buy foodstuff cheaper. If they're trying to do that, they can as well do other things, not just opening little places or small stalls for people to buy things cheaper, buy rice cheaper. I'm sure you saw all those things. Buy rice cheaper, buy this and that. If they could start from the top, do what they need to do to address all of these things, that's the first step. Everything else becomes sanitized. The real estate sector, the agriculture, the food industry. There was a period it was important to have something at your backyard. You needed to plant something.
But the developers are not creating space again now.
So the thing is, this was more like the government implemented. I can't remember whether it was a Obasanjo. I can't remember. But it was important that you must plant something in your house. My mom, we had corn, we had lots of things just at our backyard. It was important. If there is an implementation, there is a rule passed, you must plant something. And you put people in place to start enforcing this rule. In no time, people will begin to do. I said this thing that like we're animals. We want to be forced to do some certain things before it's done. If there is no barricade between this lane and that lane, trust me, Lagos will be blocked every day.
Freedom is
why?
Not free.
Do you need, is it necessary to have all that barricade there before you know that you're not supposed to be on that lane?
That's why I kept on telling you knowledge.
Everybody would put their heads together. So we need all of these laws and we need people that would implement it, not by bribing, because that's the thing. You put people to implement and then the next thing they collect money from this one. But implementing these rules to the letter, everything will start becoming normal. Housing will be more affordable. No agent will just inflate any price or collect money from clients and not, get to give to the homeowner. So it starts with the government, but at the same time, each and every one of us, we have a part to play in ensuring that our home, our Nigeria becomes
our baby.
Our baby.
And that's why I call Nigeria my baby.
It's ours. I don't have plans relocating.
No,
when people tell me,
I have before. I'm here now.
I don't have plans relocating because I know that there's a whole lot that Nigeria, there's a lot of potential. I talk to lots of Nigerians. And because they see my videos out there, like, Nigeria is beautiful. There's a whole lot. And they come to me like, oh, I checked my DNA, my whatever origin. I think I'm Nigerian. I want to be here. I see how they are towards Nigeria. So I believe that if by these little things they know, we can get to a point where Nigeria will be the actual home that we've always prayed for, we've envisaged. So it begins with you and I, it begins with everyone trying to do what is right.
Exactly. That's been my point. Everyone do what is right.
Exactly.
And don't blame it on one person. True. Accept that you're wrong.
Of course.
The rectors should accept. The developers should accept. The customers as well should accept. Then the governments, when get strong head, should also accept. Then we all come together and provide a sustainable city. And they have to do this thing fast, though. The way the economy is going is not sustainable.
You're scared?
No, I'm not scared. Okay. I'm worried. I'm not scared. I'm worried because of the damage that it will come with. Everybody go hear them. Whether you like it or not. The rich, are they not facing it now? Are you not buying for? So your expenses increased.
Yeah.
So some certain things you could do easily before, you can't do it easily before. Now we have lots of people. A quick example, they are not buying bottled water anymore, and everybody's going to the dispenser because now it's cheaper. And so you're facing something. It's hitting you one way or the other. So it's hitting everybody. So we have to find a lasting solution. So the housing sector becomes sustainable. The government have to go into providing affordable housing. And the developers have to check out their bad habits. Check it out. Otherwise, everybody go, yeah, I'm hot. It will not be sustainable.
Sure. Let me ask this question. So with the borrowing costs now approaching about 30%, what strategies can investors employ to ensure profitability in the Nigerian real estate sector?
Okay, that's a deep one. That requires financial analyst. So I don't have how much is the cost now? The borrowing cost? I think they said 38%.
Yeah, it's increasing.
And that's why they're all going to buy back. So the government has to bring that down. They have to find a way to bring that down. Because if they don't make the space easy for the developers, it becomes difficult for them. And now they also have to overprice because now they want to make their money back. They have to do the buyback. They need investors. So if they make the loans easy for them to access. Now, I don't have a concrete solution to that at the moment. So I cannot give a solution for something that I've not thought about deeply on how we can provide solution for that aspect. So I don't know what we can do now. But we have those that are involved in that aspect have to find a solution to it. We have to reduce that percent because it's really killing the developers. Why are you taking 38%? Now, when you take 38% for a loan, let's say you take $1 billion for a loan, and especially for those who are, the property is going to take you time to build.
Yeah.
So it keeps accumulating. So before you finish building, the cost has already increased. So all these things are true. We have to find a way to bring it down. We need to bring it down. The government have to bring it down.
Exactly.
So that's true. It's affecting the developers, and that's true, but they have to bring it down. That's why they should come up and do something. They are not doing anything because they feel we'll put it back on the consumers. It gets to a point consumers can't pay. Now you don't even have Nigerians who are buying these houses. It's Nigerians in the diaspora. Very soon, those ones in the diaspora will still not be able to afford it. They are working. They are not picking the money there too. They are working. So by the time they are not able to afford it, who will you sell to? So fight the fight now. If Nigerians in the diaspora, because at the moment, lots of your clients, for example, where are they from?
In the diaspora.
In the diaspora. So 80% of the clientele are all from the diaspora. So by the time they are still not, it doesn't hit them for their COVID messed a lot of economies.
Things, exactly.
So by the time they cannot afford the house anymore, and now all of them are shifting back because of this buyback fraud that is going on. So some of them are, taking their money somewhere else and doing something else by themselves. So who are you going to sell to? So you might think they're always going to be customer. Yeah, they'll always be customer, but it gets a time it starts to shrink. It's already shrinking. You can't sell to Nigerians anymore. You are going to the diaspora, it will shrink too. And if the diasporas cannot see, because I'm having lots of landlords in the diaspora who are complaining that their tenants can't pay rent. They will pay, now they are now wanting to ask for 2 years rent because they've seen that some of these tenants cannot pay rent. After they move in the first time, they can't pay the second time because the economy is hitting them. So if you don't get people to rent the house, you don't buy. So it will cut across everybody.
You constantly compare houses in Johannesburg, in Cape Town, to Nigerian houses, Nigerian homes. So how do Nigeria's interest rates compare to those in other countries? Because some of the things I have gotten from clients is, developers, is you're comparing with people that are paying about 2.5%, 3%, and people that already have infrastructure put in place. And we're comparing the house type or the price to what is being offered here in Nigeria. And then what impact does this have on the cost of the real development?
Okay. Now you have to understand that I'm not just factoring the price.
Okay.
The design, the idea, the concept of the house. They build rubbish here and they call it luxury. We've said that before. So it's easy for them because of their good government, their good governance, the reduced percentage and all that. Yes, that's true. But yes, well, you want to sell it for $1 million. You want to sell it for $2 billion. At least build a structure that commands that value.
Okay.
You understand? Just build a structure that commands that value. And the structure doesn't have to, it doesn't cost so much. But because there's one thing I've discovered in Lagos, we don't think, the developers and the architects, they don't think. Once they just see something else. If you look all the interiors in Lagos, they are all the same. If you look this house, it's very similar to the next one. There's one thing now that they do on the wall. There's look at a POP structure. Do on the wall and they will put a lamp or something that like so everybody's doing it. Now they are using this rope light, this smart lights. And so everybody now, they are using it. So they don't think outside the box. Okay. And sometimes when you think outside the box, you might even design something more better and it's cheaper. But because everybody wants to do the same thing, so all the houses look the same. All the houses, the same style. The same. They're not thinking outside the box. So it doesn't have to cost so much to do something good. It doesn't cost so much. Just design something new. But then they are not, because we like I said initially, we are not thinkers. We don't invest in creativity. We don't invest in new ideas. So once they don't see the previous one that was designed this way, let's just copy and paste. So that's what they do.
It's for that. So why I just tried to, answer some of your concerns that you state is basically because we've had lots of conversations with these developers. And for a developer who wants to build, trust me, I'm not in support of all that. I'm everything about me is intentional. Creativity, ideas, I just want to do something different. However, not everyone is like that. They may have, but the concerns I've heard is, look, we've seen the one that is working. They say, follow who know road. We've seen what is working. You want us to try something that we're not sure. We're borrowing money to try something we're not sure of the success. When there are other ones that we can see, there's a demand. People are buying it. People are asking for this. And then you want me to bring out something that I'm not sure would sell. How is that even going to work?
No,
what if I bring it out and it does not sell?
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
The design that is popular now started by somebody.
True that.
Somebody started it. This was not the first design. This was not the laid down rules of how designs and houses design should look like. It was not written anywhere. Somebody started it. So they just copy and paste because they don't want to invest in architecture to bring in new things, bring in new designs. So they want to fast and build this house in 3 months and sell it in 4 months and sell it. So why should they bother about creating something new? You know, it's time it takes you to create, to have a new idea. You have to think, but because they never went in there to solve any problem, it's strictly for money. So they're already buying this type with lots of lights. So it means everybody likes lots of lights. So all the houses in Lagos now, lots of lights. Now, the buyers have no choice because that's the only house that they've provided. That's the only design. So it doesn't mean all of them want it. Not all of them want that design, but that's what they have. That's what you provided. And they want to buy houses in their country. So they have to buy the house that you built like a club. So that's the problem. So they should start thinking outside the box. Design something new. Design something special. Create your own design. Everybody must not do one thing. If they are using the same tiles, the rest of them use the same tiles. You know, it's a mind state. It's a subconscious program of everybody behave like who is around them. You spoke the language the language you are speaking now is because you learned the language from where you grew up. So if you grew up and you are speaking 100 language, you also speak 100 language. So once one developer is building this design, is selling, boom. No need to stress ourselves to design something or create something new. Let's just start it. I faced that same challenge as well as an interior designer. You know, when I get some jobs, I have to sit down and say, no, let me create. I have to talk to the client and say, okay, what do you like? What do you like? What have you seen somewhere else? What do you want us to create for you? Some will say, just do your thing. Some will give you, the basic things that they want and you create something for them. But when you have, the developers don't want to, because now they are not building with the client's perspective. The client is the last person in the discussion. The client comes last. And so they don't mind. They build anything and the client has no choice than to take whatever they build. How the house is not looking the same. They are looking the same. All the interiors are all looking the same. The same light pattern, the same tie pattern, it's all the same structural pattern. We have to change that too. So it's not luxury. Luxury to me might be different from you. I like space. I like nature. Just put fresh flowers, life plants. I like that. So don't pack light and give me, if light will affect my eyes, they don't care.
I concur actually with being creative with designs because I get to see houses, like you said, a lot of them are just looking similar. I think we can do better. I think a lot of clients would want something different because I understand the fear. I understand the concern that if we invest this much into doing something different, would people buy?
Of course, yes. Give them options. They've never seen it.
That's why we're trying to let them know that, look, I believe people would buy if, you do something different, something nice. Something habitable.
You don't have to do something new and it's crazy, it's stupid. No.
Yes.
Do something new, something fresh. They will buy.
Would buy into it. All right. I think finally, let's touch this. I know I've spoken about it. And that's basically the comparison.
Yeah.
Another thing people brought to my table is you're not comparing the real places or the right places. You're comparing places like, there's one country you used one time, that has vast land. And
Texas.
I think, yes, Texas, lots of lands. That Lagos is more or less like the New York of Nigeria.
How?
And you said?
How?
It's not New York, but it's the New York of Nigeria.
And that's also a thing that, okay, let me let you finish.
Okay, it's the New York of Nigeria in terms of demand, in terms of attention, A whole lot is happening in Lagos. I mean, the things happening in Lagos, you don't get to see them in other states. People are migrating to Lagos. Lots of head offices are here in Lagos. People want to live here in Lagos. So Lagos is more or less like that hotspot in the whole country. And that's why it's termed more or less like the New York, just the same way New York is.
I think we should,
of Nigeria.
We should cancel that term.
Term why?
That is the New York of Nigeria. It doesn't represent. It's wrong to use Lagos to compare New York.
It's not comparison. It's
they are
more or less
comparing
like
it in the demand and supply. That's what they are doing because it has a high demand. What about in terms of value? What about in terms of fresh air?
So for New York,
and you have to agree. We're not saying this to defame Lagos. We have to accept the problem and find a solution to it. Lagos is smelling. There's a lot of big mosquitoes in Lagos. Big mosquitoes. We have open drainages, open gutters, and we have a lot of the sewage system in Lagos pumped into the drainage. They don't know how to, I don't know. They pump it. So why are you comparing to New York? You are comparing just the price, you are comparing the demand and supply, but you're not comparing other things that associate to make that house worth the value. And again, how old is New York? New York has been there for ages. America has been developed for more than 250 years. How old is Lagos? We've not even met half of civilization. But because of greed and thief that we have in our mind states, you want to compare it to the pricing. You don't want to compare it to the value. So it's wrong to compare New York and Lagos together. No, it doesn't make any sense. So what I was comparing when I was showing Texas, yes, Texas has a lot of land space. Now, it's not a matter of how big the land is. It's a matter of how you managed it and how you could be creative to bring out something new. People have built, some architects have designed things on rock. South Africa, Cape Town is a rocky area and they design good structures on rock. Can we do that? The small one they build now on top 3 square meter, I want to sell it for 10 billion. So by the time we develop on rock, now we can't think it because it will be too overpriced. We can't think it. We can't build those buildings in Qatar. We can't build those buildings in Dubai because it will be too overpriced. Because the minimum that we are having, that we are calling luxury, is already overpriced. So how can we think about that? So it's not just about the demand and supply. Let's not just factor that demand and supply. And let's cancel that initiative of Lagos is the New York of Lagos is just like New York. That's a wrong narrative. Lagos is not like New York. Lagos is Lagos. New York is New York. Every city should have their own uniqueness and make their own city good. So if you want to compare it to demand and supply, then compare it with other aspects. What's the GDP of New York? What's the GDP of Lagos? How many billionaires and millionaires are in New York? How many billionaires and millionaires are in Lagos? How many? So why are you comparing?
Let me also touch on that, right? Being the New York of Lagos. Like I said, demand and supply. People are migrating to Lagos. We can't have everybody in Lagos. Lagos is an island. Lagos is small. It's small. Not for everybody. And one of the ways to ensure that the plans, for Lagos is made possible is to ensure that, the right people are coming into the city.
Who is the right people?
You can't have everybody staying in Lagos.
Well, everybody, so this is Nigeria, the country belongs to everybody.
If you want that massive space, I've heard people say, look, you can go to Ibadan, go to Abeokuta, go to Kogi. You can build on 1 hectare or 2 hectares, that luxury house, and sell at the price you want to sell at. But in Lagos, like I said, because demand and supply, when there is a demand for something and there is limited supply, the price will definitely increase. And for so many things, housing in Lagos, people want to migrate because this is a land of opportunity. This is where everything is possible here in Lagos. As much as we may not want to see it that way, it's the honest truth. You see people migrate from wherever they are and they make it in Lagos.
They should start migrating back home.
They should start migrating back home.
Lagos does.
That's the thing. They don't want to because the opportunities they have in Lagos, they may not get it where they are. So Lagos is the land of opportunity. Everybody wants to migrate here. So we can't have the houses available for everybody. In the long run, I mean, right now we're already seeing overpopulation in Lagos because we have millions of people migrating to Lagos every day. And there is a demand, which is even normal in economics. When there is a demand for something and the supply is limited, price will be increased. And that is where the terminology, New York to Lagos, because there is a demand. New York is a hotspot. That's where everything is happening. People want to be there. And sadly, not everybody can actually live there. That's why you see small places, just like London. You see cubicles, quite expensive. That is how I perceive, and that's how a lot of developers perceive Lagos to be. The fact that a lot of people want to come in here, but we don't have too many houses available. There is a demand, but the supply is limited. The prices of homes will definitely increase. And in terms of infrastructure, for the past few years, we've seen certain things being put in place. I'm sure you can say that too.
Yeah.
In terms of the road, electricity to an extent. Yes, it's quite expensive, but I can say that it's been a while. We'll go like a week without power. I don't know about you, but it's been a while. There are days we go 2-3 days. Yeah, I know some people abroad, maybe like 2-3 days. I mean, if you've lived in Nigeria, you understand what I'm talking about. We go 2-3 days without, any instability. So to an extent, we're seeing little changes. They can do more. The government can do more, but we're seeing these changes, in certain areas, certain aspects. However, comparing from developers' point of view, comparing, Houston, Texas, that has lots of lands and infrastructure already put in place for them, with a place like Lagos that, land, we don't have land. You have to sand fill, the water and all of that. And that alone is quite expensive. And then you're working with ensuring that you have infrastructure, which most developers, because you can't wait. As much as the government is meant to put in all those infrastructure, you can't keep waiting for the government to put in infrastructure. Lagos is growing faster than the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's true.
The mainland was better because we could see lots of things. That's why you go to the mainland, you see roads, different alternative routes and all of that.
Planned.
It was well planned. Unlike the island, people are migrating more to the island. So there's lots of growth, exponential growth that is not matching the infrastructure being put in place. And that is where developers come in to say, you know what, we can't wait for the government to put in this infrastructure. For instance, there was a time like that in Orchid. Dr. Ned had to do the road all the way down. Basically because he was building somewhere and it was not accessible. He had to make it, at least to an extent, accessible to his people. But he would have to factor that price
onto the
property. This is a road that the government is meant to do. The road, the drainage. But if we're waiting for the government, people may not even... You won't do anything, right? So most times, these developers get to put all of this infrastructure. You do the sand filling. And sand filling can take years. And then you put infrastructure, underground electrification. If you notice most of these nice estates, go to Kauri Creek, Pinnock, you could see that it's better than, other places. Yeah. And that is because people have really put in so much. But the cost of housing there is quite high also. It's on the high. And we get to see these comparisons. And these developers, they're like, look, there are certain things we have provided ourselves that in those certain areas where homes are quite affordable, the government has provided all of these things for them. They just have to build. And even getting facility from the government to build, it's cheaper. So they get this facility from the government, build at a single-digit interest rate, and they're able to sell because it's not as expensive as it should be. But here, you get facility running into almost 38%, and then you still have to put in the infrastructure to ensure that it is habitable for the buyer. Who bears all that cost?
The buyer.
The buyer.
I'm not against selling houses for 10 billion. That's not what I'm against. But build a structure that commands that value and sell it. I want houses to be sold in 100 billion in Nigeria. Yes, real estate is beautiful. I want the city beautiful as a matter of fact. If we have lots of good buildings, then we have a beautiful city. But now you're just having small terrains, small apartments, and it doesn't make the city beautiful. The city doesn't look fine, doesn't look nice. So do it properly. Then charge a minimal amount. Don't overprice it. If you are overpricing substandard, then we can't build standard. Because it will be way too overpriced. We can't think of it. Then we can't think of that innovation. We can't think of the structures we have in Dubai. We can't think of having the tallest structure in Africa. Why can't we have that? We're overpricing the small ones. So you can't have the best. So it's not just about the money.
Okay.
The structure, the design, the uniqueness, the creativity. Let's employ all those things as well. And let's remove the idea of comparing the Lagos with New York. It doesn't make any sense. Don't compare just the demand and supply. There are demand and supply in India as well. There are overpopulation in every other. There are demand and supply in China as well. China has a lot of population, but is the building not developed? It's developed. So we need a working government and we need the working citizens. We need government who are visionaries and who are leaders. And we also need patriotic citizens. Because even if you have leaders and you don't have the citizens who are patriotic, you can't go far. So the two has to work hand in hand. Patriotic citizens, patriotic developers, and patriotic government. So that's it for me.
Okay, so from your perspective now, real estate investment, is it something people should go into?
Yeah. It's something people should go into. People won't stop going into real estate. It's shelter. It's just like food. It will always be there. As a matter of fact, real estate were the first businesses listed in the Bible. Jesus had to stay in a hotel. So that's real estate. So real estate will always be there, but we have to manage it properly so it becomes sustainable for everybody. Because if we don't manage it properly, then it becomes a mess. And we're already having that mess. So I want people to go into real estate business. I want people to invest in Nigeria. So I met some developers who think maybe I'm against people to invest back in Nigeria. No, I want people to invest in Nigeria, as a matter of fact. But let's make it safe so people can invest. Because whether you like it or not, these challenges that we are seeing in the real estate sector, we will still see it eventually. If I had not spoken about it, people, it's already in the mind of people. That's why when I started this movement, they supported me. Because it has been in their mind, but they are looking for someone who will say it. So it's already there. People should invest in real estate, but we should make the sector clean. We should make the sector okay so these investors can come in. Because if we don't make it okay, then we'll start having little investors coming. But when we make it okay, then we have lots of people who can invest and do good structures. And it should be basic. It's normal. Good houses is normal. It's not for the elites. It's not for the rich. It's supposed to be for everybody. Just like, for example, to you, who is the most important person in the world? You, right? To me, I'm the most important person in the world. The beggar in the street, he also feels the most important person in the world. So if you deserve a good real estate building, that beggar in the street also deserves a good real estate building. So we should do basic structures, normal structures, and don't have to overprice it. We have to make it look swift and easy and okay for everybody. We should not build basic and call it luxury and as though it's entitled to only rich people and elite folks. No, housing is for everybody. Everybody needs a house. The beggar needs a house. The woman in the market needs a house. The young guy who just came out from school needs a house. And if you don't give them good houses to stay, then it becomes a problem. If they don't have shelter, they can't think, they can't create. And we have a dilapidating society instead of a progressive society.
If you were the commissioner for real estate, right? What would you practically do to bring down real estate prices in Lagos without compromising developers' profit?
That's a huge one. Firstly, I'll bring in thinkers.
Okay.
I'll bring in people who just sit down and brainstorm. I will get a solution and then we implement. But I'll cut out corruption. I'll cut out corruption. By all means.
Everybody has been trying to do that.
No.
I think it's easier. The way I'm looking at it, it looks like it's easier said than done.
It's easy. It's not hard.
Okay.
Like I said in the beginning, prioritize knowledge. When Fashola was governor of Lagos State, he prioritized knowledge. How did he do that? With jingles. Fashola was always using the radio, using the TV, using media to do clean Lagos, keep Lagos clean. And Lagos was clean, wasn't it? It was. But after Fashola left, nobody kept up with that culture. And now Lagos.
And I think they had people kick against indiscipline.
Yeah. So it's easy. How can you control something you want to pass on knowledge? Put a speaker in the markets. Every day, just be shouting with 3 language, with Igbo, with Hausa, and with Yoruba, and with Pidgin English, and with English. Keep this market clean. If they hear, people become what they hear. Automatically, it's a subconscious programming. They become what they hear. So I will invest in knowledge. And it's easy. I will invest in knowledge. We will use the media and invest in knowledge. People will keep hearing. If they hear, keep Lagos clean. If they hear, don't do this. If they hear, don't do this for a long period of time, they become what they hear. All of us become what we hear. You speak the language you are speaking now because of you grew up where you were hearing that language. So if we keep speaking truth, then we can easily cut our corruption. The reason we're having corruption because people are speaking lies. The lies is out there more than truth. And everybody is tailored to become liars, to become thieves, because it's easy to see thief than to see a just man. So when I become a commissioner of real estate, if I eventually become one, I'll bring in thinkers who think, because it's a huge problem. It's not something you say you do one thing and it will solve. You have to factor a lot of things together.
Exactly.
So I'll bring out people who are specialties in various areas. We'll come together, we'll brainstorm, we'll think, and then we'll find a lasting solution. But one thing I said I would do, I'll prioritize knowledge, I'll cut out corruption, and I'll make houses affordable.
Scott for Commissioner of Real Estate. Hashtag. We need him so that a lot of things can, be changed.
Yeah.
Lots of reforms in the real estate sector.
We need lots of reforms. And it's not a matter who has been there for 100 years. If you've been there for 100 years and you can't do anything, then resign. Let's bring in people who can do things. Enough of this rubbish that we're having. Nigeria will grow.
Of course, Nigeria.
I believe in
Nigeria is our own. It's
so
our home.
invest in Africa. Don't see this as a reason not to invest. You have to invest in your country. You have to invest. Nigeria can only be built by Nigeria.
Of course, exactly.
And again, we have to apply this rule. It's not anymore about what Nigeria will do for you. At the moment, Nigeria has nothing to do for you. It's what you will do for Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you so much, Scott. It's been an interesting conversation. Really, this needed to have been done a while ago, to address all of these things. So it's not just people clamoring for change, and not everybody understands the fact that we are all the change that we need to see.
We are all the change.
We are the change we need to see. So thank you so much for coming here.
Yeah, and just to mention, this is the first podcast I came since I started this campaign. And this might be the only one. Honestly.
Thank you so much. My name is Confidence, and of course, this is Key to Keys.